Listen, y'all put evil on me last week. You wished ghosts upon my house. And now that I'm thinking about it, you wished ghosts upon my home. And suddenly I've been having weird computer problems over the course of the week. This is your fault.
I don't know
You
what you're
did
talking
this.
about. I don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
no, you don't get to white splain your way out of this one, Dan.
All right, that's
Your
fine.
privilege ends here. You put ghosts in my home.
So, what can I recommend something for you?
Yes, please.
Okay, so if you're going to get rid, I have this nice sage candle that if you want to come over and borrow it at any time to get rid of the ghosts, you can.
I'll walk right up. Dude,
Yeah,
let me
sounds good.
go
All right,
go hit the road.
I'll see you in a few weeks. And
Yeah.
I'll have water and a couch that you can sleep on.
I appreciate the couch.
Yes.
And yeah, Gray Fox. Let me get some bath salt and put it around my entire home
Yeah.
for the curse you all put on me last week. I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve hauntings. I guess it kind of explains the weird audio issues that the chat will never know about
They'll
because
never know. Yeah, it was.
they weren't here.
That was something else.
It's been a weird week, we'll just say. It's been a weird week, everybody, and this show might get a little weird along with it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 271 of the Planet Destiny podcast. We are back once again to talk about the goings-on in the Destiny universe, and man, we've got some stuff going on. Bungie earlier this week put out a massive State of the Game article that covers so many quality of life changes that so many people have been calling for that I almost don't believe. I almost think like this is an out of season April Fool's joke. They're just debating us for when season 14 is going to go live. It's going to be a lot to cover. We've got a lot of stuff to go into. Before we went live a couple hours ago, we also had another news story pop up in terms of trials. Some fun things going on in the world of Trials of Osiris. And of course, another crazy glitch with multi-team raids, as it were. Just which I hope this is something Nim talked about on Twitter as this phenomenon was happening. 12-man raids and 12-man content. Like, I hope this was just like this is something they're legitimately working on for the future, and some dev forgot to like comment out the code. For all my programmers out there know what that means. Like, they forgot to comment this out and just accidentally made 12-player activities live, and we got to experience that over the course of the weekend, and it's great. A lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Of course, this week we've got our roundtable of hosts returning once again. The one, the only, you know him, you love him, we've missed him, Mr. Oro. Welcome back, brother.
Yeah, back for my first time in like a month, and I guess I'll see you guys next month. The way things are going.
Hey man, don't hate it. That's the contract we all wish we could have. We have the once a month appearance. We call it in the wrestling world. We call that the Brock Lesnar contract. He's here, but only every now and again.
He's the shark
Great to have
fin
you back,
above the
man.
waves.
Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Mr. Dan Finity. How you doing tonight, man?
Hi, I'm doing well. Can't complain. Not haunted.
Yeah, you send it to me.
Yeah.
I didn't want that. I didn't want that parcel, but we got to deal with it anyway.
Sorry.
And of course, my name is the Black Link, and without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Like I said at the start of the show, there's a ton of stuff to talk about, and I don't think there's any better way than starting with the massive State of the Game article that Bungie put out earlier this week. I'm assuming everybody here had a chance to read it, right?
A few times. There was so much that was going on that I had to read it a couple times to make sure I got everything that they were talking about.
Yeah. I've read it a couple of times. I've bulleted it out. So it's just like, okay, this is what this paragraph means and down the line.
Yeah.
This is a hefty boy. And
it's pretty chunky.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Joe Blackburn. We talked about it last week. Our dude Joe Blackburn.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Talking about him making another appearance. With all the news that we had last week about Bungie's expansions. We talked about the expanding team. They're going to be expanding their HQ. They're opening up an international office. They're bringing on a bunch of new board members with experience in media outside of video games. And you mentioned that this should hopefully mean that we're going to be hearing a bit more from Mr. Blackburn. And lo and behold, immediately he comes to pin this magnum opus article on the state of the game. And one thing I'll say about it is this was kind of a bit of putting the pill in the roast beef sandwich, as it were, to get your dog to eat it. Because of course, this article starts out with, of course, the finalized news that Witch Queen is delayed until 2022.
Yeah.
It's going to be launching in early 2022. And everyone who didn't realize that before just kind of glossed over it because the rest of the article is so chock full of incredible information that that bit of hurtful news doesn't really matter. And they talk about their reasonings for pushing Witch Queen's release back, and for the most part, I agree with it. We know that they've been stretched thin over the last couple of releases. We know that that type of content release schedule has had problems there at Bungie, and so take the time you need to make the content that you need to make good. And I'm okay with having an early year release for Destiny. Really doesn't bother me. I don't mind getting away from the September release.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean nothing to me.
This will be the second time they pushed it back, right?
Yes,
or the
I do
third,
believe so.
because Shadowkeep got pushed back like a month or something.
Yeah,
Beyond Light was also delayed, was it not?
About
Month and a
about
half.
a month, yeah. So,
Right. So this seems to be par for the course, and everybody dealing with COVID, having to work remotely, having to VPN into your servers, which are never as fast as if you're physically there in the building working on stuff. Like anybody who works from home and has to connect to external servers from, like, this is just normal. Everything takes longer. Things take longer to render. Things take longer to upload. So this is normal to me, and I actually would have been shocked if this news didn't come down. I'd have been like, wait, they're actually going to be on time. How? And what's going to be wrong at that point if that is the case? Because this is just normal at this point. No problem with it. No problem.
Well, and the fact that they're building, they've seen that cycle go on. They're building it into their creative period as well, and hopefully allowing for like more, like just more development and hopefully like more quality in there. Like that's a huge thing for me. I saw that and was like, okay, cool. It also make a yearly update starting at the beginning of the year also makes sense to me instead of like third quarter.
This is usually the time in which the content is running most dry. It's generally this period right here at the start of a new year. So I'm perfectly fine with them pushing the date back. I'm always fine with it. If you need to take more time to make sure that the product comes out at the standard, the level of quality that you believe it should have, take the time. Always take the time.
Yeah.
But that's not the only interesting thing in that particular section of the state of the game. They also talk a bit about the future of Destiny, including mentioning content even beyond Lightfall, which I think might be the first time they've actually brought that sort of thing up.
Yeah.
We all kind of assumed Lightfall was going to drop, and then that was pretty much going to be it for Destiny 2. And whatever the franchise did then was going to be where they take things off, whether it's going to be a Destiny 3, whether they're going to be making some kind of unified Destiny experience. We don't really know. But in this, they talk a bit about the fact that Witch Queen is going to represent an important evolution in that ongoing story of Destiny 2. And that ultimately it's going to lead into content during Lightfall and ultimately after Lightfall as well within D2, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
This is years down the line. I wasn't expecting them to bring up Lightfall or anything past it again.
Well, and they make an interesting note during that segment. It's like, even more importantly, the conclusion of these releases will also conclude the Light and Darkness saga.
Yeah.
What?
Which is the main story.
Yeah. What is there to Destiny after the Light and Darkness? Like,
what even is this franchise without the light versus the darkness?
We're just gonna get some JoJo's style stuff. I'm into it.
Look, as that's perfectly fine with me. Yeah. If we get some Aztec bodybuilders posing all over the place as the new villains of Destiny, I'm 100% okay with that. But yeah, you know, it kind of caps off a bit of the story that's been started here in Beyond Light. Really kind of started a little bit before that with the arrival of the pyramids. And then things moving forward, it's clear Bungie is moving away from this whole darkness bad, light good sort of thing. They've had the beginnings of that sort of story playing out for a long, long time. And it seems like we are finally going to get to a point where it's not going to be a war of light versus dark. And that does lend to a really interesting question. Well, we already see us starting to ally with the Cabal. And if you played the master version of Presage and picked up some of those audio logs from Keitel, let me go ahead and spoil something for you. We're probably going to make her our new Rhino waifu in terms of being bays. And I think it's probably going to wind up being the same thing as like the Fallen, where we're going to start allying with some of these alien races and maybe even putting an end to the excursions of the Hive. But ultimately, we're going to reach a point where light and dark aren't going to be at odds anymore. It's going to be something else that we're going to be going after. And I find that to be really interesting because what does that even mean for Destiny? We don't have any enemies right now aside from the darkness and those who would ally themselves to it. I mean, whether it's the Vex or the Hive, these are beings that worship something that it looks like we're ultimately going to be moving away from in terms of a villain. So I have no idea what to expect from the future of this franchise without that.
The only thing that I can think of is like possibly like the Traveler skips town without paying the check, and then we have to go hunt it down. like kind of like the Fallen, and maybe we're the bad guy in that sentiment.
We go to some other planet that the Traveler goes to, and now we're the Fallen.
Yeah.
Beating them up to take the ball back.
I see it being something similar to how last season or the DLC for Beyond Light wrapped up, where Aramis or whatnot, where we become, maybe that's what we become in a constant pursuit for power kind of thing. So
I can see that.
You will, who knows? Let's get there first. Let's make sure that the process of getting there is something that really feels natural and that the dialogue matches and that the story is told in game and not to where I have to go watch a Bife YouTube video to dissect what most of this stuff means. You know, I don't have time for that anymore. So it's like, I just want the story to be told. And I feel like they're doing a good job with that this season with the Keitel stuff. And you go to the helm and you talk to the kiosk and there's a message to Zavala and whatnot and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can kind of I can see how this is developing. Let's hope that it continues that way.
Yeah.
Here's open.
The exposition is everywhere and awesome.
Yeah, and we talked a bit about it last week with a lot of the expansions that Bungie's going to be seeing over the next year or two, including expanding Destiny from a video game franchise into a greater media franchise. That storytelling is hopefully going to be first and foremost when it comes to the game. So there's good stuff there. But that was pretty much it when it comes to the Witch Queen and beyond. After that, we got to hear a lot of really incredible news, starting with the news that sunsetting, the act of sunsetting your weapons and especially your armor itself, is being sunset.
Yeah.
Rest in maybe not peace, but what's a little bit less than peace? Not necessarily antagonistic. Rest in mild irritation. It's like you're laying down, you're almost comfortable, but those times when you just can't quite find the right position to fall asleep in, like you're feeling great because you're laying down, but you can't fall asleep. Rest in that sunsetting.
Rest in pieces?
Rest in, well, maybe pieces.
Yeah.
But probably one of the biggest surprises for me in this article is that Bungie is moving away from the act of sunsetting gear, starting next season, I do believe.
So it reads, starting in season 14, we won't be capping the infusion on any weapons or armor that have not already reached the cap as of the start of season 13.
Right.
And so Bungie, again, just makes a sentence over complicated. And my interpretation of that is that if your gear is set at 1310 max, then it won't be sunset. Anything that is not 1310 max will be.
Yeah.
So last season's gear we're at the start of things not being sunset.
So
no, this is season 13, right?
Yes, this is
season 13.
So basically, from my understanding, it's anything Season of the Worthy back is all sunset.
Yeah.
Everything after that is good to go.
It's they picked the most confusing way to describe some of this stuff.
Yeah. I think they
Well,
should.
But
then
either
they
way.
mentioned Trustee and Falling Guillotine, and like Falling Guillotine's been in the game for like a decade. So like what, like at what point wasn't Falling Guillotine like, is it over a year old at this point? Like I feel like it's been in the game for a while.
I feel like it would have been on the chopping block right around the time of the new expansion. Like,
This would have been
Yeah.
its last season from what oh,
oh,
okay.
yep. Hey, TBL's back.
Is he
Discord-
though?
It's back though.
Okay.
Okay.
Every time.
That you did. Remember, you did this.
Damn
To me.
ghosts. Ghost was like, click, leave
Oh.
Discord.
You know what? You know what I just said about sunsetting? That like it's rest in mild irritation. That's what that ghost curse is. It's nothing catastrophic. It's nothing that I would have to like sell my house for. It's just mild irritation.
It's just vaguely annoying.
Just vaguely annoying stuff. Like
It's-
you know,
It's somebody
I go
sitting
to-
on your chest saying, "Stop hitting yourself."
but like lightly, not
Yeah,
actually
just like-
punching, just
Little pats.
irritatingly light. Like if you're gonna hit me, hit me. You did this. You all
I'm so
did
sorry.
this.
I'm so sorry.
I don't remember what were we saying. We were talking about sunsetting.
Right.
Yeah, we were talking about Falling Guillotine being in the game for over a decade, and
We won't be capping any more of our weapons. We must consider more variables in the game. In the balance of our upcoming seasons and releases, expect to see tuning when it comes to our biggest outliers. And then they specifically mentioned Fellwinter's Lie and Warmind cells. And there's probably a couple other things in there that they could bring up too.
Yeah.
But the onus is going to be on Bungie to make changes to the sandboxes way more frequently than they have.
Yeah.
And that's where they've struggled in the past to keep up with it. So if you're going to commit to not sunsetting anything, you're putting more pressure on your weapons development team, your perk pool creators, and the weapons testing team to be able to make the changes necessary to make both ecosystems, PvE, PvP, and maybe even Gambit, happy. And they're expanding, but they didn't directly mention that aspect of their team getting larger. They later
Right.
down the line they mentioned specific where they're going to focus on growing. So
Mhm.
we'll see if they're able to keep up with the demand of how this is all going to shape up. That actually kind of makes me nervous. I didn't like love sunsetting, but I felt like it was a necessary evil.
Mhm.
Where they got sunsetting wrong was reissuing the same gun. You
Right.
know, that's where it got wrong. And so now they're just going to say, screw it. It's too much work. We're just going to let it fly.
And you know, they even kind of mentioned that in the section there that like while they still believe that sunsetting was an important thing and they have to figure out how they're going to be handling the cycling of gear and new gear, they just feel like they didn't implement it right, and I would agree with that. Y'all know how I feel about sunsetting. That's a topic that's been covered for years on this show. But I am happy to see that they are making moves like this, and especially when it comes to armor. It never made sense for armor to ever have any sort of infusion cap on it. And I look forward to seeing how they're going to tackle this question moving forward without just doing sunsetting.
Yeah.
Though the irony is not lost on me that we're now in like the age of triumph part of the cycle of, well, okay, we sunset things in Taken King. That goes awful for a year. And then in Rise of Iron, Age of Triumph, we just bring everything back. And it's like, all right, you can just use whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where we are.
Yeah.
So the irony is not lost on me.
I don't know. I could see them doing a yearly cycle of siphoning things out. I mean, that would mean some of the stuff like at the end of the season you'd have a shorter lifespan with, but maybe like if you were to do something along those lines, that's when you break out the really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So
There's
You can correct some of these issues by limiting your loot pool, making your perk pool smaller, and increasing drop rates. Like there's certain tweaks that they can make to make this easier on themselves. Like, you know, there's probably 5 or 6 different perks that a gun doesn't need to have as an opportunity on it. You know what I mean? Like Relentless and Killing Wind and some of these barrels and some of the scopes and some of the magazine changes. Like, so there's other things that they can do to kind of help with this. And maybe that's one of the things that they take a look at.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine there's...
Andy's gone again.
He's super haunted, dude.
Yeah.
This is just
I'm s-
something else.
I'm so sorry.
You did this. Just remember, Dan did this.
This is what happens when I'm not here for a couple of weeks.
That's
Yeah,
it.
you know, we get haunted. You know, some weird things happen.
I'll do a call a return ritual and hopefully have it haunt my encoder.
Don't
again.
mess with it because you end up sending that shit over here, man. Just let it go.
Look, I'll
This
do
is
it.
where we're at
I'll
now.
do it in a call.
This
just
is where
me
we're
and
at.
TBL, and
We're
we'll.
gonna pass it on to someone else.
Yeah, it's fine. Well,
Like a spectral STD. Just-
I was gonna say like the movie It Follows, but also yes.
that was the spectral STD.
No, you're right. Yep, you're right.
Listen, go watch It Follows. Great horror film that is scary until you realize it's a spectral STD. It's like, oh, oops.
Yep.
Good
Okay.
horror film.
Okay. Back to
Right. Now, I guess I'm living it in terms of Destiny and Stream Ghosts.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I would expect them to like hit the sandbox a little bit harder now, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason not to. And I mean, they've done a good job, I think, especially with this season. They started with a pretty good job in Beyond Light, but especially with Season of the Chosen in introducing new worthwhile perks.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the perk combinations you can get on weapons now are fantastic.
Lasting
The,
impression on rockets is nuts. You know,
it's
chain reaction
crazy.
came last season, but you didn't really see it that much until it's more prevalent. It's more
Yeah.
on more weapons this season. That also really, really good.
And you know, that's one of the reasons the Salvager's Salvo, the new Pinnacle grenade launcher, has become my breech loaded grenade launcher.
Mhm.
It's got such a great combination of chain reaction and demolitionist on it. Like, why would I ever use anything else? And I like that. That's good. That's what Bungie should be doing. They should be introducing powerful new perk options that draw you away from using the weapons that you may really be used to. I mean, rockets now are pretty good. And lasting impression is basically taken over from chain reaction and from like cluster bombs for me. It's just such a stupidly good ability, and I think that's one avenue Bungie's done a really good job on, and I want to see more of that with a bigger loot pool. Let's get that gear up.
Heck yeah.
But moving on from there, I think they had a section about power levels. They're going to be changing it so that rather than getting a 50 power level bump up by season, it's just going to be 10 power levels,
Mhm.
which I'm fine with. It was kind of an arbitrary 1-day grind to get that power level up by 50 anyway. And so basically, if you hit max pinnacle power in this season, next
Mhm.
season, you're basically going to be able to jump right into your pinnacle drops to actually get yourself up. And I think that's fine. That
It
really makes
wasn't
a
that
big
it was
change.
difficult. It was that it involved a lot of activities that some people just don't want to do. It wasn't enjoyable. It
Right.
wasn't
Yeah.
a fun walk to get where you were trying to get to. And especially across 3 characters. And so this is the way until like an actual DLC would hit. That's where I would expect to see a larger jump. But from season to season, I think this 10 is fine. I mean, power level ultimately doesn't really much matter for anything at this point anyway.
Yep.
Mhm.
Except for your Grandmaster Nightfalls, you could make a case for Iron Banner, but even that doesn't really seem to be like it's impacting the player population all that much either.
Yeah, exactly.
It also fits
Trials is a whole different thing.
we'll get into
We'll
that
get there.
soon.
We'll get to that later.
We gonna get there.
It also plays into their seemingly new design philosophy where you don't have to be playing all the time in order
Yeah,
like 50 power levels and then 10 pinnacles. Like I'm playing a lot of the time, mostly to try to help people with like master presages, which was rough today because my power level is not that high. But it essentially means that you can just like you can start that later in the grind whenever you want, as well
Exactly.
as grab the seasonal challenges if you're not really feeling that season. So I don't know.
It also frees you up to do whatever. Like, I mean, I could spend the entire season in the Crucible,
Mhm.
still get my pinnacles, get where I'm going to go, but not be in a particular rush and just enjoy my time playing. You know what I mean? Like that's really what all anybody's looking for is to have fun doing it. And just a lot of people aren't really in a place where it's like, I don't mind dipping my toes into Gambit and strikes and Crucible and public events and whatever the hell else. There's so many different activities to rank up at this point. I think the hunts are still a part of earning pinnacle gear. There's the exo challenge. Like there's everywhere. There's stuff everywhere to do. So like you can just do what you enjoy doing and get where you need to go, which is way different than how it had been.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that perfectly encapsulates why the drop from 50 power to 10 power is perfectly fine. I mean, there's so many things to do, so many different ways to get yourself up there in terms of light that it's I don't think it's really going to make too much of a difference, and it's just going to streamline things even further, which is fine. I think it's perfectly fine.
Now, when they start letting you infuse gear from other classes, that's when you know you were really in the Age of Triumph.
Someday, Dan, someday. I think after that there was like sandbox changes. They're going to be nerfing like behemoths and revenants, which knew it was coming. I don't have the list of changes up in front of me, but I know they're going to be like reducing some of the damage reduction on Behemoth Titans, which
yes, I have it
probably for the best.
I have it up, and I can run through the full thing. Behemoth Titan will be getting a decrease to super damage reduction, increase to super energy cost when performing light attacks. They will remove AoE freeze on supercast and reduce traveling efficacy of Shiver Strike when slowed. Revenant Hunter, they will be getting a decrease to withering blade damage and tracking, a decrease slow stacks applied to targets, remove Shatter Dive damage reduction. Shadebinder.
So Shatter Dive's going back to what it was before, but it's going to be harder to pull it off.
Yeah.
Is how it's
Shadebinder Warlock fixed a bug where Ice Flare bolts wouldn't track towards targets immediately on creation. Fixed bug where Shadebinder super projectiles were not tracking until a certain distance traveled, and in general, they're going to decrease crystal shatter damage.
Interesting stuff. I think mostly probably good changes.
Yeah.
None there I really, disagree with.
Yeah.
Additionally, they also mentioned that they're going to be addressing 3-peaking in Trials and Comp by basically disabling emotes and making it so that you can't pull out like a sword, a third-person weapon, unless you have ammo with that weapon, which I think is a pretty interesting way to handle that. How do you guys feel about that change?
Yeah, everything that they're doing. The thing about it, the only part of it is like addressing in season 15. So we have to go through the entirety of season 14 before we can get to this point. That's the downside to a lot of this. This was a necessary change. This is one of the first steps towards PvP modes being playable for a lot of people at this point.
Yeah,
it's one of the first steps. So this is huge, especially for Trials. Who knows what Trials is going to look like in the future? But as it currently sits, 3-peaking is, if you're actually playing legit, 3-peaking is a problem. If you're cheating, then it's whatever, which is a whole separate issue.
Which they do go on to mention that they are going to be doubling the size of their security team so that they can work harder to address a lot of the cheating that goes on in Trials, especially when it comes to Trials on PC. And since we're on that particular subject, why don't we just go ahead and approach the Trials topic here? Because a rather interesting form of technically, I guess Trials cheating popped up over this weekend. In the form of basically win trading, using the Haka emote, not emote, but emblem to identify yourself. And this is all because Bungie added the ability to join Trials games in progress. And so the quick rundown is you basically join a game in progress. They've got hosting lobbies here. Everybody's got on a Haka emote. They do a little bit of casino gambling of guessing numbers, and whoever gets the higher number that determines who's going to win, and everybody else just quits out and dies. And I think the story for how this came about is actually hilarious, because like somebody was looking at player numbers for Trials on PC and noticed that like 50% of flawless teams on PC had most of their team with like 0 kills.
So it was Trials Report tweeted, the Trials Report account tweeted that they had seen like, I don't know, 50K flawless gamers or something over the course of the weekend, and like some obnoxious percent of them had not actually participated in games other than joining and quitting or winning off of a team that left. And so you would see flawless cards, you would see 11 wins in a row with nobody on a team registering a kill. And this is not new. The thing about it is like win trading has been a thing. It's been a thing in comp since comp has existed. This has been it might even go back all the way to D1 where win trading is just a thing that has been part of it, but it's a bit more prevalent now. And there was a couple of other things that were going on too. So when you say the ability to leave and rejoin, if you were losing a legitimate game, you could leave and join back on a different character, and then that character takes the loss.
Yeah.
So your other character, your original character, their card stays intact. That was one of them. I think the other thing that was going on was like you could actually swap teammates out.
Yes,
to a certain degree. And so like I think it was Righty had tweeted like we had 6 different players on our team this game. You know what I mean? And we were able to switch characters while it was going on. And the really strange thing for this to come about is it kind of comes about on a weekend that is borderline worthless in terms of the Trials loot pool. This is one of the worst weekends of loot that I've ever seen. It's like the shotgun, which can't roll quick draw, and then armor the rest of the way, I think. So don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So like that we're going to disable Trials when people are out there getting boots and gauntlets. And like last week when it was the hand cannon, that was the like if there you would have thought that if this was going to be a real issue, like you would have seen it last week. But it's just another drop. It's just another rock being thrown in the pond that is Trials problems. You know, it's just, and it sucks for the people who worked so hard to make this a thing. Like for the team that created it and the teams that work on it, and then it must just be such a nightmare to see every different way that people are exploiting this thing, you know,
every way.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You said Trials problems and I was like, oh, that could be a TikTok. That could be an entire channel for TikTok, just Trials problems.
I forgot you're a TikTok content creator now.
Well, I mostly watch now, but
it's just strange. And they disable so that to combat people getting armor, they disengaged Trials this weekend, allowing you to turn in your tokens if you have them, and if you have a flawless passage, you can still get to the lighthouse.
Right.
But other than that, which they didn't do initially. Initially, they just turned it all off, and everyone was like, "Dude, what?" Like,
what are you doing?
But they went back and figured out a way to turn it back on again. It's just so now everyone's just going to go to comp and do the same thing. Like all you're going to do is, you know, you're not stopping the problem by disengaging the playlist in which it occurs.
Treating a symptom there. And yeah, I mean, you're right. It has been nonstop when it comes to this stuff in terms of Trials, and that's got to be a bummer. It really does have to be a bummer for Bungie to be dealing with all of this stuff. It's like every time they think they've got a handle on the leaking pipe, it just bursts out in a different way.
Yeah.
But who knows what they're going to do about it?
Yeah, they don't give us a lot. They don't give us a lot in the in the roadmap.
Yeah.
For this year, they're just like, yep, these are the changes that we're going to make.
Right.
That's it.
Oh well, I just figured it would be a good idea to bring that up. I think they also mentioned they want to in the article. I know they mentioned they want to improve matchmaking pools for Trials. They want to make it more friendly for solo players. No idea how they're going to do that. No idea how they're going to manage that.
You're going to see, especially because of just the way all of this works now, you're going to see more players encouraged to participate longer, which I think is what they said. So you're most likely going to be able to go to the lighthouse on like get to 7 wins before you get to 3 losses.
Yeah.
Is most likely what you're going to see. You don't have to be like, you know, win the entire way through. Right. You're most likely going to see, and I don't know if D1 was like this, but they should see just after match drops. Adept versions are only from the lighthouse, but like if after a match is over, you can get something, so on and so forth. Maybe lowering the chances of a god roll coming from from just end game rewards, but that's what I'm expecting to see. A lot of people are asking them to get away from like this, you get one life and that's it kind of. They want objective based game modes, but I don't know if that's the right move either. But if you want people to participate, you got to make loot accessible for as many people as possible while still making the pinnacle worth it, like the pinnacle section of the playlist going flawless, winning the matches and all that kind of stuff. But
getting those adepts.
Adept is they have to fix that too. I mean, like
the mods, man.
The way that mod system works isn't ideal. But I mean, they've been given feedback by the community that might address a lot of the issues that they're having. I haven't yet to see anybody's ideas that I thought was like, no, that's kind of stupid. But I've been playing Crucible for a very long time. I'm not bad. And there's certain aspects where I'm kind of like intimidated to go in, like, oh, am I going to match people who are legit? Am I going to, like, what's the chances of us like, I've got friends who are just insane players who are having a hard time going flawless for one reason or another right now. And it's like, if they're having a tough time doing it, they're three of the best players I've ever played with. I don't have, why am I going to waste my time? And the other thing about it that's missing is just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The core value.
And that's, one of the reasons why I generally don't jump into trials all the time. It's not necessarily the most fun game mode for me. And I am looking forward to the ways that Bungie is going to be addressing that moving forward. They've certainly got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do. But that's okay. A lot of those changes are scheduled to come in Season 14. But if you're not looking to play trials in Season 14,
are we going to lose him again?
That's a hell of a way for him to freeze. I'll say that much. Yeah, that's
great.
To
save that.
Yeah. Yes. Screenshot. Where's my print screen button? Got it.
All right. Good job. All right. Can you send
Let me
that
open
to
up
me?
Paint.
Yeah.
1 sec.
Yeah. Can you send that to me? Because
I just gotta.
Okay.
I had to put it in Paint so I can crop it real fast.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Oh, TBL.
Yep. When next time he decides to go camless,
we're just gonna pop that there.
That's the picture. I think.
TBL face. That's how I'm gonna save the file.
Thank you. That is wonderful. Let's see. He's so haunted. So haunted. I'm sorry, TBL.
There you go. It's in your inbox already.
Thank you. All right. Perfect. Well, I believe he was about to talk about the return of Vault of Glass.
Is that where we're going? PogChamp. Can you see how surprised he is that it's coming back?
Yeah. Oh my God.
TBL, hide your excitement.
Hide your excitement, dude.
Hide your excitement, dude.
I'm gonna message him real quick. Folks in chat, thanks for hanging out with us so far. All right, there we go. And is he back? It's hard to tell. Anyway,
just put that picture over where he's.
Will do. Working on that now. Thank you.
For all the aspiring broadcasters out there, this is just what happens when you stream.
Professional.
Especially if there's 3 of you.
Yep. Save image. TBL face. Thank you. All right. We're adding that in.
Nope. Not letting you.
Damn it!
I'm not going to let you do it.
Do it anyway.
Not. Absolutely not.
Damn it. I'm
still
sending
the machine, baby. Ghost in the machine.
I'm sending it to Moon.
Rude. Incredibly. So first you curse me. Let me get this right. First you curse me. Then you take advantage of my sorrow by immortalizing it.
TBL face is being added as a source.
Rude.
Speak.
Absolutely rude. Unbelievable.
Spend your channel points for TBL face, chat.
I can't believe I'm treated this way. Y'all see how wrong they do me. You see how wrong they do me. No idea.
There we go.
I'm going to just tweet the picture and be like, caption this.
It had better at least have been a good face. Yeah,
I
like that. I like that.
It's a good
Doing
face.
that. I like it.
It's a good face.
We take it. Okay, we'll take that.
Yo, put it over me. Put it over me. I want to be
put it-
TBL.
Put it over you.
Yeah, I want to do it.
Can we all be TBL on this blessed day?
All right. Yeah. I'm copying it 3 times. And
Worth it.
we are now all TBL.
This is what happens when you're haunted in Florida. It's not enough to be a Florida man in Florida. I have to be haunted by Florida ghosts. Excellent.
Where's Nem?
I'm okay with
He is
this
also
now.
TBL.
You get a TBL, and you get a TBL.
All right.
Ugh, no idea. What was where were we even talking
We were talking about
I don't
Vault of
remember.
Glass, I believe.
You were about to
Oh,
make a
yeah.
really good point. I can tell.
I was trying to segue into the fact that you don't have to play Trials next season, but who cares at this point? Vault of Glass. It's going to be dropping next season. That was my point there. You'll be able to play that. Maybe even in a 12-person raid, like what we've been seeing over the weekend. We should all be so lucky.
Yeah.
Damn, I look good.
Yep.
Look, what can I say? Black don't crack, baby.
Oh my god. All right. We've journeyed so
A beautiful
far.
picture. Frozen in time.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
I feel bad. You know what? I'm with Chad on this. I feel bad for the audio listeners who are going to be like, these unprofessional mother.
No,
They're
this
not
is
going
gonna
to
be cut
understand.
out.
Even better.
You gotta be
have
here
to
live.
be here.
You gotta
You
be,
got to be here live.
Yep.
This is what happens. You just got to be here live, baby.
Oh,
These are
my
the things
God.
that happen in broadcasting.
Yep. Okay.
So anyway, Vault of Glass, that's coming next season. I'm happy about it. I hope you guys are happy about it too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think
So I feel like the message that got glossed over because there was just so much going on in that monologue or whatever you want to call it. They mentioned Venus specifically.
They did.
And I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't know if that was a leak, but when you mention Venus, you really start to get me excited because that was one of my favorite places to go in D1. And I really hope that there's some reprised version of Venus that we're going to be venturing back to that's added to the system. But
Yeah.
I forget what was it the depths of Venus? I think is what.
Yeah. So while the high level experience remains the same, you should expect the raid team to have a few tricks up their sleeves when you tackle the depths of Venus this summer.
And I
That was
just don't know if that was on purpose.
I mean, I mean, given the way these things usually go, I'd say they probably knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Which
Probably knew what they were doing.
I'm going back to a previous conversation that we've had before. I'm hoping for a greatest hits Venus. Like,
Right?
yeah. If the greatest hits of Venus, we get this section of it, I'm into it.
And there's space
Was
on the
the-
director now.
Was the
Just
gate
saying.
for Vault of Glass the best of Venus though? Was that one of the best of Venus locations?
Probably.
Like for me, it was the Ishtar Collective, which didn't even have like a
Yeah.
real purpose in open world esque.
Aesthetically, the Ishtar Collective was like, I mean, it's kind of like on Titan. it's
Yeah.
Like
If-
what is Pacifica, whatever,
Yeah,
Lost
it-
Pacifica, yeah.
yeah, it was
The
there.
arcology,
It was
yeah.
pretty. It was neat to walk around in, but it really served no purpose outside of just being there to serve for maybe like
Yeah.
a little bit of story. Whereas like with the entrance to Vault of Glass on Venus, I would say yes, that is one of the crowning experiences on in Destiny, just because of the random nature of it. Anybody could walk in
Right.
while you were opening the gate, or while you were.
And I think you
opening-
could go down a bit in there before you started to run out of space to go, I think too.
Yeah,
You just wonder if
Yeah.
if Bungie learned the lesson about raid spoils by creating the entrance to a raid in a public space. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
people got into Deep Stone Crypt before it launched because of they created it in a space that was in the public.
Mm-hmm.
But I
or
mean,
the,
do you want them to give that up though?
I think there should be a Vex gate, and then the Vex gate goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is what I'm
okay.
hoping, that there's a Vex gate to get into it versus the vault itself opening.
Like there's
I
a
could
gate
see
on
that.
there's gates on Europa.
Yeah.
Easily.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they say the depths of Venus, which makes me hope that we're actually going there. But I hope that there's a gate on Venus versus just a door that opens up that allows us to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
that's where I feel like people are going to glitch out of maps and whatnot. And
I mean, given Destiny's history, I don't think there's any way around that. Some of these people they're gonna find a way to break through walls and go somewhere at some point in
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
But we do know VOG is coming back. It is going to have a contest mode and a world's first race. But the world's first race is going to be a little bit different, since this is going to be a familiar raid. Maybe not entirely the same as you might remember it, but for the most part, probably structurally the same. They're going to be doing a basically world first. In order to get that title, you're going to have to complete the raid while also completing a list of challenges. I think they
Yeah.
mentioned there.
Yeah.
You're going to have to complete a bunch of curated list of challenging triumphs first in order to get that world's first belt. So hopefully that'll spice things up just a little bit. And it tells me that there might be some weird little secret things tied to Vault of Glass this time around.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
instead of Gorgons, it's going to be Thydras.
Yeah.
Thydras.
It'd be
Yeah.
Wyverns. It needs to be different. I find the challenges aspect of things very, very unique
Yeah.
because we already know this raid. So like, well, we think we already know this raid.
Yeah.
So world's first really isn't all that like world's firsty, but this is a unique way of creating world's first being a bit more unique to the situation. I'm all for it. I don't know. Who knows what's going to be going on in my life at that point to where I don't know if I can do a day one raid, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2 words.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
2 words. Bury your supplicants.
It's going to happen.
It's gotta.
It's going to happen. When you come out of future or past, you better look around. That barrier champion supplicant's going to be up your ass. And of course, as a part of this article, the other big mention about Vault of Glass is the revelation that we will be getting a master version of the Vault of Glass. Not in season 14. I think they said it's going to drop before the end of the year,
Mhm.
but not next season. And that they want to basically moving forward, they want all of their raid and dungeon content to offer a master level of difficulty, which I think is fantastic. I think that's a fantastic idea. It reveals that we are going to be getting adept raid weapons through the master versions of these. So it's very much like we're going back to the old normal and hard mode of raids that we had back in Destiny 1. And I for one couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
I love the legend and master lost sector system they have right now. I think it was a good way to kind of elongate the grind and some of those harder activities. And I'm looking forward to seeing it in raids.
I don't want modifiers. I don't want
Right.
the master to be every modifier that could be active is active with all the champions match game. Like it's a bit easier to manage stuff like that when there's 6 of you, but contest mode to me was so much more enjoyable than modifier activity.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd be cool
Gotta
with
agree.
contest mode versus master because master makes me think they're going to be like, oh, match game,
Yeah.
champions, unrelenting, unstaggerable, danger close to like whatever stop mechanic crap. So like, I'm all about getting punished for making mistakes, but I don't want to get punished because I get winked at by a scion. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that. There's no real fun in situations like that. So I'm going to tread lightly on that one.
Yeah. The prestige raids. Like
Weren't all that much harder. They weren't that much like.
no, but they weren't
I-
fun. Like.
But I go back to like King's Fall,
Mhm.
and they were like, we had to go design this one backwards. We
Mhm.
made hard
Right,
mode
yeah.
first, and it was like, dude, it was so crazy. We had to back everything off for normal. It was nuts. And then you go and you do the prestige version, and you're like, you made Knights a yellow bar.
Yeah.
Like that was the
Yeah.
nuts difficulty. Like I was expecting the scions, or not the scions, the what's the taken guys with the shields that the phalanxes?
Phalanxes.
I was expecting them everywhere. Like no matter where you stand, one's gonna spawn behind you and knock you off the map. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I was waiting for, especially during we never used to do it, but like the ship jumping.
Oh yeah.
If you actually took part in that, like
Yeah.
I was like, dude, they're gonna throw phalanxes on one of these ships. We're gonna spend the entire time falling off. It's gonna be crazy. And all it was knights that were yellow bar.
Yeah.
So
Slightly more inconvenient. Yeah, I feel that. And I can agree with the notion of wanting to up the difficulty without just shoving in a bunch of detrimental modifiers, because a lot of those can be really frustrating and not necessarily the most fun experience.
And now I got to raid with a bow because you want to make overload champions in there, and I got to have an overload bow. Like what?
Don't want that.
Mm-mm.
I don't want that experience at all.
Well,
and so
even as Tywin mentions in chat, is like, take a look at Master Presage. It might be a look into Master Dungeons, etc. Like, Presage is one of my favorite missions in the game. Frustrating as hell in that Master one.
Yeah.
Just because you're so under level for the entire thing, regardless of what level you do. And it allows, if they're going to be handling it that way, and basically adding like a contest modifier to those masters without calling it contest necessarily, on first day, that would be interesting. That I could see as fun.
Yeah, and if anything, having it work like that, like the way Presage works, where the enemies are always a set level above you, is almost kind of like contest mode, where everybody's trapped beneath a certain light. And I'm with Aura when he says that it'd be that's more interesting to me than adding in a bunch of detrimental modifiers that just aren't fun to play around. And
could you imagine defending the confluxes with a bow against Vex with hitboxes that are impossible to crit? Like it's just literally you can barely hit Vex in the crit spot with a bow, and now you're gonna make me have to use a specific weapon to make it to stun a champion. So please don't do that.
So here's open. I mean, I am happy that we are going to be getting Adept raid gear, though, and dungeon gear. They go on to mention it's going to be Adept raid and dungeon gear coming in the future. I think the Adept system, while in trials, it needs to be changed a little bit. That mod situation needs to be worked on. I think overall, the Adept system is a good one. It's kept me grinding Nightfalls for the past couple of weeks. Grinding up some of these exclusive Nightfall weapons, and when Grandmaster Nightfall drops, become a thing, so I can actually go for my Adept Shadow Price, my Adept Palindrome, my Adept Swarm. I'm absolutely going to grind those. I have never done a Grandmaster Nightfall. I've never done one because they weren't worth doing. But this is something that actually gets me into that activity, and I'm happy to see that system moving to some of the other loot avenues within the game. Very much looking forward to the Vault of Glass experience next season. I can't wait to get my hands on it. After that, I think it was Transmog.
Yeah, it's where
we're
going to be seeing a new face, or an old face returning.
A face.
With Ada 1 coming
baby
back to
girl
the tower,
coming back
in charge of Transmog.
This was an interesting take, and it was not one that I was expecting. I wasn't expecting this to be the path that they went at all.
Yeah, right.
Not even a little bit. This seems way overcomplicated.
As usual.
This takes time to develop.
Yeah.
This is a resource sink.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if it's the right way to go about it. Well, I guess time will tell, but
yeah.
Right. And I get that, because it is going to be a grind. So basically, Ada 1's going to be coming back. She's going to have a new system called Armor Synthesis. And basically, you're going to have she's going to offer bounties that you'll be able to go out and complete to get the materials required to basically take armor sets from your collections and turn them into universal ornaments. So what Bungie's doing here is they're always looking for ways to keep you playing the game. And this is another way to do that. You wanna look the way you want, go and run these bounties for Ada so you can get the materials necessary to create a universal ornamented armor set. And on one hand, I can appreciate that because you always have to try to keep your players engaged. But on the other hand, Aura's right. It's like an overly complicated way
Yeah.
to just spritz up your appearance. It is a
Every
little weird.
season, Ada will offer players a set of
Yes.
bounties that highlight various activity types. Players can complete these quests. Now, first they call them bounties.
Mm-hmm.
In the
Right.
very next sentence, they say players can complete these quests and receive the materials they need to power up Ada's loom, which can turn any piece of armor in your collections into a permanent universal ornament. Players short on time will also be able to purchase synthesis tokens for silver.
And there's
Right.
the rub. I think
Rubbing is Nim as he rubs his hands together. Yes.
Yeah.
More money to spend on this game.
I almost wonder if they're going to add some of it to maybe the seasonal pass too. That
I
would
wouldn't
an
be
incentive.
surprised. Yeah. And let me be perfectly frank. I'm okay with them adding a silver option here. As
Mhm.
long
Oh,
as
yeah,
it's
me too.
earnable in game. 100% okay with them adding a silver
Yeah.
option for people who are
Agreed.
just like, nah, screw that. Let me drop $15 and look the way I want to look. I'm okay with that.
I want all this blue gear. I want to look like I'm wearing all blue gear when I'm taking on this god.
I know quite a few people who would love nothing more than that.
There's good blue gear.
I
There's good blue gear.
We're not going to know the full extent until we see how much material it's going to take to do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it's not, I don't know if it's armor set, but if I'm looking at the picture shown to me, you have on the left-hand side, you have 5 pieces of armor that are from different sets.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
and then there's one at the very top where it looks like you might be able to select an entire set at once. But, if this is a thing where I've got to complete 80 bounties in a week to be able to turn one helmet into an ornament,
Don't want that.
Yeah.
That's, I think,
I'd rather do this and make any weapon from collections be
Yeah.
able to be brought
Usable.
forward. Let me go back and all of a sudden make Midnight Coup.
Mm.
Like that's, if we're gonna do this, because I don't know how much I really care what my Guardian looks like, because I can't really see my Guardian.
Yeah.
I'll see it on
Right.
my menu. I see it when I'm walking around a tower. But if you're gonna have a system like this, I want weapons more so than I want armor.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting part of it there because we know this is going to be coming from collections. Another question this brings up is like, what about armor sets that are no longer obtainable? What about the Leviathan armor sets? What about some of the stuff tied to the old raids and raid layers? How are people going to get access to that?
They'll find a way to bring that back. you know they're
That's-
going to.
Well, if it's in
That's where I'm
collections, you
going
can
with
still
that.
see it, right? You can still go back and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
But
So,
if
But
you
my point
didn't
is people
earn
who
it-
haven't earned
Yeah.
that. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
well,
But-
if it's silver, if it's a silver-based system,
Yeah.
maybe the store just lets you pick whatever from perhaps the store lets you pick whatever you want since you're buying it.
Let me
Right.
go buy my armor set, my trials of Osiris armor ornaments real
Oh,
quick.
You
Pretend I went flawless.
know how shitty that would make people? I
I-
really doubt they go down that path.
I would doubt that they're going to do that. But I
I'm
wanted
just
to
gonna
touch
look like
back.
an invader no matter where I go, no matter what I do.
Oh
I'm
my-
gonna look like
Hell
a Game
yeah.
of Prime invader.
Hell yeah.
run the what was that? The what was the invader set from Gambit Prime? Oh my gosh, I can't remember it, but it was red.
The red one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the red one. Oh, that'd
That's
be
how
great.
I'm gonna look.
Hopefully those that light up effect is still on the armor there. But I
Mm.
wanted to circle back to something Aura said there. I mentioned that I'm fine with them offering this for silver. I'm perfectly fine as long as you can earn it in the game. But like Aura said, this had better not be a grind every single bounty Ada's got all week long to ornament one piece of gear.
Yeah.
It had better not be that because there's going to be a huge imbalance there between, oh well, I'll just go spend money on this versus grinding all week just so that I can have my helmet
Yeah.
look one specific way. So hopefully that's not the case.
This is where I think the spoils that you get during the raid, I think that's probably
Yeah.
that's probably a perfect system for doing this kind of stuff in Destiny. And I'm surprised they didn't go this route necessarily with it.
Yeah.
They've already kind of built that structure for past gear sources. Why not?
It's also curious that Ada's the person that they chose because It is the weapon developer. Like
He is.
Mm-hmm.
that's where all of the forge weapons. Like you go down there and there's just weapons all over there. There's not armor all over the place. You go down there and there's weapons everywhere and blueprints and whatnot. So
Now they're
it's
making
kind of
her an
curious that
outfitter.
Ada is the one that
They're
they
making,
selected as the NPC.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
making her an
very
outfitter.
weird.
They're making her an outfitter like Ava Levante was back in
Yeah.
Destiny 1.
It's very odd choice. I mean, I'm happy to see Ada back. I mean, I loved the character, but it is definitely an odd choice to have her suddenly come back and be like your guardian outfitter.
Yep. That's
Anyways, that's Transmog.
that's the part of the tower. There's a sign that says Guardian Outfitter. And like
It's like a yeah.
you walk in there, it has a whole bunch of racks of just
Yeah.
old tossed away gear. Here's the
It's like
blues.
Pacific somewhere. Yeah.
Right.
This is the
I
clearance
thought you made
section.
weapons. No, I don't do that anymore.
No,
Can I
I
interest you
gave
in
that
some
up.
bands, though? Check out this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out this blue set.
This is
Very
late-
slimming.
Welcome to late stage capitalism.
This pays better.
Ugh.
I dig it though. So that's going to be starting next season. Well, and I'm looking forward to it. It's about time we finally got the transmog system, and of course, they go on to show off a bit of it there. You'll be able to like universally change your shaders or change your shaders and whatnot individually. Also, quality of life change. Shaders are no longer going to take up inventory space, which is
Yay.
fantastic.
About
So
time.
glad to get. Yeah, it's about time.
You'll
It's-
also
Does
not
that mean
get
I'm going
glimmer?
to stop getting like 3 whenever I blink?
Yeah.
yeah,
You'll
you're
also,
hoping.
you'll also stop getting glimmer and legendary shards for them.
Good. I don't need any of it. Jesus.
Shard them now.
The amount of gear that they give you after a match of Iron Banner, I'll never need anything ever again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just speaking on like there are some folks out there who do not have that much and do not regularly have the time to maybe accumulate that kind of gear. So like
Yeah.
stop spending your money more wisely than people.
Yeah.
Budget. What's your budget look like at home? Apply that to your Destiny character. Let's go. If that cereal isn't buy one, get one free, it's not going in a shopping cart.
Yeah.
All right. Let's chill
There
with
you
that.
go. Thrifty. That's right. But all right, that's it for Transmog. I think after
Mhm.
that, it was mostly just some other like systemic quality of life changes. They mentioned that crossplay is going to be going live in season 15,
mm-hmm.
but that they're going to start testing some of it in season 14. And I wonder exactly what they mean by that. I'd imagine maybe they'll probably start with strikes, just kind of matching people up in the strike playlist from different consoles, and then
It's probably why you're seeing 12 Guardian activities.
Mm.
this man knows. By the way, I love it. I hope that's a thing for activities in the future because it's silly and it's fun. And so of course crossplay is gonna allow you to play regardless of what console you're on, regardless of what platform. PC play or people will be able to play with console people. Xbox can play with PS4, PS5, and all that kind of stuff. It's about time. Really excited to see what that does for the player population
Mm-hmm.
in terms of Destiny. And I think
Really
they go on
curious
to
as to how that's going to impact friends lists.
yeah.
It's
In
How's that all going to work?
it's got to be a Bungie account.
it's got to be Bungie account.
Yeah. There's
You link your Bungie account.
yeah, kind of like how Outriders logs into your Steam through Square Enix's little thing. It would have to be your Bungie account.
The way Activision, the way that's how Activision does it. They just have you link your PlayStation or Xbox account to a separate Activision account, and then like it just uses your Activision account to kind of match up friend lists and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's the only way I could see that working. But they go on to mention that there will be cross-platform PvP for consoles. It's just going to be unilateral cross-platform PvP. For PC, you will be able to play with console people in PvP, but generally they're going to keep those pools separate.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you are in a joint lobby.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
unless
if
you're
I'm on
invited.
PC and you join me and you're on PlayStation, we're going to play a
PC.
mix or PC players.
Yeah.
which is
Well,
an interesting way to handle that. But
the
Not
way
bad.
that they phrase it, it says unless PC players specifically invite their console friends to play with them. And then,
Right.
which I'll be doing.
Yeah.
I will be specifically inviting you.
100%.
Yay! 30 frames.
Ara wants you.
It's gonna be the new trials cheese.
Oh,
Just to
boy.
get the console boys. But it's good. This is a major change. This is something we've all been waiting for a long time.
Mhm.
And I think it's gonna do wonders for not just the PC player population, but for people who are out there like matchmaking raids and whatnot. Remember that whole Guardian Sherping system we have in the game
Ugh.
right now that doesn't get used.
Oh,
So I'm
Lord.
very, very excited to see that moving forward.
Yeah.
Real psyched about it. Ikora Ray's coming back.
Heck yeah.
She hasn't had much to do since what was that? Season of the Undying?
Yeah.
When she made the portal?
That's gonna
And
be the last
nobody
one.
wanted to talk to her that season either.
And she didn't
That
want
was
to talk
it.
to us for a year afterward, so that's fine.
Yeah,
Right.
apparently somebody said something there to her. So glad to see that she's going to have some part of the story moving forward.
Glad to see Gina Torres back. she's a wonderful actress. Yeah.
Expensive.
Yep.
Got to pay that money. But I don't remember. Were there any other big things that were announced in the state of the game?
Yeah. So the last two things there were in Beyond Light. We introduced stasis subclasses like Solar, Arc, and Void. Stasis will continue to evolve into a
Right,
fully
yeah.
supported damage type. In Season 15, we'll introduce our first round of legendary Stasis Weaponry. There will be a lot more info here as we get closer to the fall. And then the last bit was that they would starting in Season 14. Phase 2 of gilding titles will roll out, allowing you to see how many times you have gilded a title that you have earned.
Right. And the stasis weaponry thing, I think, is interesting. I think we all pretty much saw it coming.
Yeah.
But I wonder how exactly they're going to handle it, because it's not like you're going to be able to take a stasis, let's say, hand cannon and shoot a person and instantly freeze them. So is it going to be like you shoot a debuff at them, you shoot and they slow down after you've landed a couple of shots? Because that's going to be problematic, to say the least. I can already, Aura's already shaking his head. What does this even mean? No idea. Or maybe maybe Bungie will surprise us and just keep it as a heavy weapon sort of thing. So like,
If they do something
rocket.
like if they're going to do something like that, give me a hand cannon that I can shoot at my teammates that warms them, that makes anything like that immune.
Yeah.
To the point where like they have some
Ooh.
kind of active buff that does not allow them to be slowed or frozen. Like if you're
Yeah.
going to go this
Mhm.
way, do it, but give me ways that allow me to be,
Got to be able to
function.
mitigate it.
Yep.
Got to be able to mitigate it.
It-
That
based,
could be bad.
based on how they've done the energy weapons so far, outside of exotics, I don't see it maybe affecting anything more than maybe a shield type.
Okay.
So like, I don't know. maybe that's what we see in the Voltaglass Master is stasis shield types, and
Oh boy.
that's it.
I can see that. They do mention they want it to become a more normalized energy type like the rest. So that could be exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Here's hoping. It's not what I said. Because good Lord, would that be awful?
Yeah. Good Lord, it would be. Other than that, they showed us the armor from the Witch Queen, which looks
Oh yeah,
really
the
rad.
Nova gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a sneak peek at the armor set for Witch Queen. This looks pretty good.
So now it's the hunter's turn to be an astronaut.
Yeah, goes in cycles. Just one day it'll come back to us.
Yep.
But there we go. I think that's pretty much it for the state of the game. A
Mhm.
massive article containing a lot of really great information that hopefully we did a pretty good job of covering here in tonight's show. You guys have any favorite bits? Any things you're really looking forward to?
Crossplay for me.
I just want to see it executed. We've been in situations where all this has been on paper before, and I just want to see it come to fruition. Now, I think that this was great, and I think Joe saying something couldn't have come at a better time,
Absolutely.
given what was going on. I think this was crucial. It kind of maybe was a little bit goofy that it was like the same day that Outriders demo went live, but
wasn't that goofy? was.
I mean, my
Really?
timeline was full of nothing but Destiny stuff, and there wasn't one bit of mention about Outriders. So I think obviously there's game plan to that, but
Yeah.
Get clapped. I mentioned to Dan before we started, like, this has been a really weird week for gaming news. It's like somebody made a wish on the monkey paw because the very same week that Anthem dies, we suddenly get this article from Bungie like a day later, overshadowing, Outriders, which was also having its big beta that week.
Yeah.
It's crazy timing, but really good news in this. I would say, yeah, crossplay. Definitely one of the things I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah.
That and probably Vault of Glass. I cannot wait to see us back in the Vault of Glass. I can't wait to get my hands back on some of that Vault gear. And I can't wait to see how Bungie has evolved that experience.
Yeah.
the Atheon's
Good stuff.
epilogue at this rate is going to be the best drop from that raid, given the way the sandbox functions currently. And I don't know if that's good. I mean, I say it every time. If 140s aren't adjusted, Fatebringer is going to come and it's going to land and it's going to be bad.
I mean, I wish we could take you back in time 5 years and have you say that statement. Vault of Glass is going to possibly be the best thing out of this. My, how things have changed.
There's some glaring omissions in the PvP category. No.
Yep.
No talk about any maps. Like,
Still.
yeah. No talk about.
We can
balances in the raids.
stand for the maps that are currently in the playlist. Given the fact that the newest maps that have hit the foray haven't really been great.
Mhm.
Like nobody's really jumping for joy about Fragment. They brought back Widow's Court, which
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily one of the most popular maps in the Destiny 1,
Yeah.
playlist.
you're right.
So what I think is at the forefront right now is addressing 3-peaking and addressing the hackers, and
Right.
figuring out how to make trials at any kind of an enjoyable experience. So let's get the wheels on the truck first that have fallen off like long ago before we start worrying about the road that it's going to be traveling down.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, here's looking forward to some of those changes. They do say that they're still looking to improve the PvP experience, and who knows what that means, but I guess we'll see in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Was that so that's pretty much it for the state of the game.
Mm-hmm.
We covered the trials thing. We talked a bit about the 12-man activities. I still have no idea how it's done, but people are getting like full fire teams into stuff like Nightfalls and raids and whatnot right now.
Apparently, so if I read this correctly, so you have two people who are. It's kind of like how you would do the on Mercury, or you would jump into the escalation protocol, like.
Oh, the Mars stuff. Yeah.
On Mars, where you like just trying to reload in with the team each time, like as one account was like, as the timer hits 2, the other team launches, and like then you see what happens. But I think we're going to attempt to do that tonight for community night in the Discord. So I'm interested in seeing what kind of memeage comes out of that, but I don't know.
Wacky fun shenanigans that I think
Party game.
Bungie should. Yeah, it's a party game, and Bungie should probably look at some 12-man activities in the future.
Fall Guys, Destiny Fall Guys.
I mean, we've got the exo challenges.
Yeah.
Just have it so that collisions are on. We can push each other off maps.
Let's see here. Other than that, it was a pretty light week this week at Bungie.
Yeah.
Although this week they did mention, hey, there was a thing that happened earlier. You should probably go check it out.
Go read this other article. Fair enough.
Yeah, we will be seeing a developer deep dive on the Deepstone Crypt on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, March the 3rd
Yes.
at 10 a.m. PST. That is 1 p.m. Eastern. They will have representatives from various disciplines of development, including design, art, VFX, narrative, and more. They're excited to see, to dust off the stream equipment and hope to see us there.
And then that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But But that's all right. I think that's more than enough news to go over for Bungie to have dropped in a single week. It's been a pretty good week for them. Like
Yeah.
in 1 week, the entire outlook of Destiny has, I think, really had a light shine shown on it. Things are looking a lot better. There's so many quality of life changes that are coming that I think a lot of people who may have been pretty worried about where exactly this franchise is going had a lot of those fears put to rest this week. And I can't wait to see exactly how some of this is going to be coming together starting next season. Looks good. It does. But beyond that, what do you say we move on to some audience questions if we've got any?
Sounds good.
Get on out of here.
Tywin asks, would you want the Trial of the 9 weapons back as random drops in Prophecy or Trials?
I'm always down
Prophecy.
for more weapons. Yes, the answer is yes. I'm always down for more weapons in the loot pool. Whether it came from Prophecy, which is kind of where I guess it should, or Trials, doesn't much matter to me. I'm not even sure that would make me run Prophecy. God, I am so not a fan of that dungeon. I don't even know if that was
Really?
only back. I can't stand that dungeon, dude. I hate it.
What do you dislike about Prophecy?
It's not Shattered Throne.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
fair
that's fair.
enough. Fair enough.
That's it.
The synthwave aesthetic is not my favorite, but that's kind of like what Trials of the 9 was too. And
Which round the 9 was, yeah.
yeah, I dug that gear set, and it would make perfect sense for them to add that in.
Yes.
Especially
The music team should have put club music in there. Yeah, that's what you should have been. It should have been a rager. Like we should have gone in there with like neon glow sticks and I don't know.
Every time,
Everything else is Monka TOS that would follow, so I can't say much of it. But like you get the idea.
Yeah. every time.
Well, I'm wearing an I Prevail shirt. Like
Yeah.
Shattered Throne is a metal freaking dungeon.
Yeah.
And then you go to the club and it's like I don't belong here. This isn't where I. And there's people who love clubs who love that dungeon. Like that's where they go. Like if they want to, they want to jam, that's where they go. I go to Shattered Throne. I don't know who the hell hangs out in whatever the Hive one is. I don't know what those people are into.
Or as a headbanger, not a twerker.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. I mean, yes, I'm going to agree with Aura's answer. Just unilaterally, yes, they should be bringing that stuff back. If I had to say bring it back between Trials of Osiris and Prophecy, I'd say Prophecy.
Yeah.
Give me more reasons to run Prophecy. And also don't put the Trials of the 9 weapons up against Trials of Osiris weapons. That's a recipe for disaster because they kind of don't stack up.
Yeah. Especially because there's locked loot for that activity. If it were randomized, if you were to randomly get like a Trials of the 9 piece of gear out of that and it was like rusty or something, that'd be interesting. But I don't know. I would want to see it in Prophecy more.
See it in Prophecy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But Kavi asks, since Bungie said the Vault of Glass race will require completion plus all challenge triumphs to win, do you guys think the race teams are likely to get a completion first and then go back in?
Depends on how difficult the challenges are. Like so Bungie mentions challenging triumphs. So there's going to be multiple of these. We don't know if that means there's going to be like completed challenge mode for say the Templar, something like the keeping him from teleporting thing used to be, or if it's going to be like a set list of challenges that they're going to have to go through, like multiple challenges per encounter. I'd imagine most teams, once they know the challenge, are going to try to get it done like right off the bat. Like I'd expect everyone, if we do get the same series of bosses, everyone's going to try to prevent the Templar from teleporting just off of reflex. And I don't know if they'd have enough time to complete the raid in its entirety and then go back and do it all over again.
Yeah.
There's checkpoints. I mean, the first part of the raid is a lot of, time sink and before you even get to a part where there'd be a challenge to complete.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how that would pan out. That idea crossed my mind too, but you're up against the clock in situations like that. And I think the best thing to do is to try to get everything done your first time through it.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully some of the challenges are the same as they were in the past, but obviously there's going to be some curveballs thrown at us.
Right.
My only question here is, do you think because I also agree that getting the triumphs done while you're doing the completion makes the most sense time wise. Unless it's exactly the same and you're able to speed run that sucker,
Yeah.
and like then dive in and go, okay, what's the challenge for this? But the big thing for me is, will there be a separate state of triumphs specifically for the raid race, or will it also tie into whatever title they end up giving that raid?
Yeah.
And if-
Yeah.
And if it's just going to be like a handful of them, like which ones it's going to be?
Could you imagine losing the raid race because of some dinky dumb challenge though? Like I feel
I've
like this
lost a
is
lot
going
of
to end
things
up
in my
being
life.
I feel like this is going to be controversial though. Like
Yeah.
like you don't win world's first, even though you did it. You completed it first because Team B like killed all the oracles
Right.
faster than you did.
Yeah.
At that, like,
I can only think it would be controversial if Dato's team lost by 2 minutes.
Oh no. Or if Dato's team loses by beating the raid first, but like missing a single challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, I think 100% there's going to be salt on the way.
or
Mhm.
something pops up that doesn't say challenge failed, and you continue on because you didn't realize that the challenge was there or something.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That happened to
Yeah.
us during Deepstone Crypt. We failed a challenge, and there was no notification on screen that we had actually failed it. So this has a tendency to be messy.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
to me feels like it's going to be messy compared to just being the first. I don't know why this is a thing. Like being the first to be finished is a race. Like that's
Yeah.
so. I don't know if I necessarily like this idea.
Yeah.
They're treading some uneasy water there with this.
Kind of makes it a triathlon of sorts instead of
Mhm.
like.
But that
Just
would
a
be
race.
like you're swimming and jogging at the same time, and you have to like put ketchup on a hot dog while you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
So the Jack of all trades challenge in DSC.
right.
Yeah.
And but not only that, but like think about the first challenge in Deepstone Crypt where everybody has to, what is it? Everybody has to shoot I don't even know what it is, but it
Okay.
makes the
Yeah,
encounter
the
longer.
Red Rover challenge.
Red Rover
Wh-
challenge.
where-
And
Right.
that makes that encounter longer for no reason other than the fact that you're basically making people learn the different roles in that section, which is great, but like that is something that can be taught outside of that
Yeah.
kind of process.
Right,
And so
yeah.
like if you're going to take a raid race and now you're going to prolong the encounter on purpose, right? Which is the exact opposite of actually having a race.
Yeah. It just changes the parameters of the race. That's all it does.
There's potential for disaster here. That's certainly the truth. We'll have to see though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Gray Fox asks, with Witch Queen being delayed to next year, what can Bungie do to make the last season of this year not another long season of arrivals?
I think they're already planning for that. Adept raids,
Yeah.
master raids.
Master
We know that's
raids,
going to be dropping before the end of the year.
Stasis
Gotta be away from
Elementals.
Stasis Elementals. Yeah, I think they're already trying to prep for what that content is going to be to carry you in between, the last season of content and Beyond Light and the release of Witch Queen in 2022. I think they're already trying to work on that.
If they added... Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, what do they have to do? Just don't overcomplicate things. Like, the game's fun to play from a very foundational point. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing wrong with being done everything at the end, towards the end of a season, and just moving on to other games, taking a break from gaming in general. Like,
Yeah.
I'm at a point now where I jump in with 4 or 5 buddies at the end of every night and jump into Crucible and just do dumb shit. Like that's
Exactly
the extent of my gaming right now. So like, I don't think Bungie is going to have to do anything other than try and find ways to keep the game fun for people. And I think disabling trials for a weekend because people are win trading might be one of those things, but
Yeah.
Feel that.
Age of Triumph comes to mind. Like, it was fairly simple. It was just, hey, we just added difficulties to all these different activities that took part in.
Right.
don't they do that like once a year? Is that where the MXMI challenge title comes from? Was that
Yeah.
Moments of Triumph or whatever?
Moments-
That's
Triumph.
moments, but like age was when they added I think it was the adept versions or the
They brought back all of the prior raids
Yeah.
and added a new difficulty tier to them and brought back all the weapons and armor tied to them.
That was the end of Destiny 1's lifespan, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was the end. So we're not there at this point for
Right.
an age of Triumph.
Right.
But like, don't they always do like the Solstice of Heroes during the summer?
Yes.
And then they do like, so like we'll be back in the EAZ having to use a shotgun to
Oh, God,
kill
I hope not.
no.
so and such and all that. Like,
Please.
yeah.
I hope not. That the EAZ can stay gone. That activity can stay gone.
Yeah.
Unless they want to make it a Crucible match for 12 on 12.
There you go.
Yeah,
Hide
right.
in-
The servers
be
can't
fun.
handle that. We'll all get error coded.
Hide in the hide in the little crannies. Nim Plays asks, final question of the evening. What specifically for TBL? What heavy will you use for oracles, and why is it sleeper simulant?
Listen.
There's a story.
Listen here, you little shit. I mean, I sort of have to, at least my first run of Vault of Glass.
Especially now.
This is,
You can get that catalyst anywhere.
you can get that catalyst from basically anywhere now. But what Nim is referring to is a strange, cursed habit of me using Sleeper to destroy oracles and somehow killing myself with it.
Mm.
On more than one occasion, I have sleepered an oracle and had it reflect the shot perfectly back at me.
So
Who knows what we're going to use the first time through, and we don't have weapons that do extra damage. I mean,
mhm.
Yeah.
I'm picturing light machine guns or auto rifles, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be a weird experience, man. Jumping back in there, and like I hope the vault gear drops with some of the same perks that they had in D1, where it's like this weapon deals additional damage to oracles and whatnot. I miss having weapons that were specifically tuned to the raids that they were in. Just let that be a little extra effect on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll do it for you, Nim. I'll sleeper at least one oracle for you.
That reminds me, I think one of the first times I raided with Nim, I for some reason called Relic, even though I'm not great with Relic, and ended up like yeeting myself off the side of the map. It's I'm looking forward to doing that again to Nim. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, cannot wait for the Vault of Glass experience to return next season. It's gonna be something special. For those who never played D1, it is the inaugural. It's the first raid experience in Destiny, and still remains today one of the best bits of content Bungie's ever put out.
Mm-hmm.
I still go back and play D1 every now and again, and whenever we do, I always get a group together to go run Vault and like Crota's End and that kind of stuff. And man, it holds up. It is an incredible experience even to this day, and I can only hope that it comes back in the form that we left it, and that maybe we also get some of the other raids back. I wouldn't mind running Wrath of the Machine again. That's a cool raid. It's
Yeah.
got some fun stuff tied to it. And man, starting next season, we're going to get some of that experience back. Going to be good stuff. Well, all right. I think that's pretty much it for the show then, right?
Yep. I believe so. That's all the questions fit to print.
That's all the questions fit to print. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to episode 271 of the Planet Destiny podcast. We had a lot of stuff to cover this episode, but I think we got through pretty much all of it. Really exciting stuff in that state of the game. If you haven't had a chance to go through it yourself, I would highly recommend it. There was even some information that we didn't get to cover here on the show. But there's some great stuff coming to Destiny, and I got to say the future is looking brighter than ever. Cannot wait to see what else Bungie's got in store. Of course, before we get on out of here tonight, we are going to let you know where you can find all of us across the internet, starting with the one, the only Mr. Aura. Take it away, sir.
Twitter.com/evilaura3vil_aura. That's really about it lately.
There you go. Go follow him. Send that man a follow. Let him know you love him. Send on his channel, even though he's not streaming. Do it anyway. I do. I sit there and wait. As if I'm waiting to see Layla's beautiful face once again. How's she doing, by the way? Oh, there we go. There we go. That's my girl. Adorable. Good stuff. Dan, what about you, man?
Oh, hi. My name is Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and now the TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are L's. You can also find me on Twitch 3 days a week. We're going to be doing some more Destiny stuff. I'm probably going to be playing some Tales of the Borderlands this week.
Yeah.
As well as some more Outriders. Had fun with that on Thursday. It was dumb, but it's fun.
Like we were saying, it's cringe, but it's a fun game. There's a game there.
Mr. Chang says hello.
Mr. Chang says hello. It's cringe, but there's some interesting gameplay elements there. I like it thus far. I do. And of course, for me, you can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet: Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at the black link. And of course, the new news videos and whatnot will be going up on the Planet Destiny YouTube channel at youtube.com/Planet Destiny. If you're watching this right now, you're probably there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. As for live streams, we've been back on our schedule of Mondays to Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern time till about 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern time. Been playing a lot of Destiny 2 on stream and kind of been diving back into the Division 2. We had another season of that start up. So I'm kind of getting caught up on all of that as well. Anyways, you know where all that stuff is. Make sure you guys go and check it out. But that is it for episode 271 of the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to this week in Destiny. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.